Good afternoon. Welcome to Midday Prayer. As you notice, I am inside today, avoiding my computer being overheated. I really like being outside though, because I like the sounds and I like that um, the nature can do all of the work of being the backdrop and like inviting us into prayer together. So I kind of miss being outside. It's actually kind of nice out, but the sun really shines down bright on the deck, and so to avoid overheating, I'm just gonna start out inside and stay there in hopes that this will be a very like seamless almost time together of prayer. So I'll just wait until more people join us this afternoon before we start. And yeah, I have a few things to share with you, including a song, and go from there. Good afternoon, Lynn. Nice to see you. I'm also adding the song. Hello, Jean. All right. Hi, Sharon. Okay, so to begin with, I want to read a meditation that I actually read this morning for myself. Hi, Linda. I have multiple things that I kind of tap into depending on how I'm feeling for the day and what I might need to hear. So today I read from Deep is the Hunger, and that's a book of meditations by Howard Thurman. I've read from him before with our time together. If you don't know much about Howard Thurman, it'd be a good one to look up. He was a pastor and one of the mentors to, well, known to be one of the mentors to Martin Luther King Jr. For his ability to talk about our spirituality and what that means in the act of justice and like how we can live our lives in a time where our world is in conflict. So he's a good one to really look into if you're looking for some meditation, some conversations. He's had really good conversations, and he's not alive now, but but a lot of the things that he has written is available to look up. So this one in particular reads this: the fact that a man or woman can always be in error with reference to the things that he or she thinks they understand most clearly is an ever-present reminder of human frailty. It is a challenge to humility, even in the presence of one's deepest convictions. The truth is, we are never able to get our hands on all the facts in a given situation. Something that is important always escapes our consideration and may lead us to a false conclusion honestly arrived at. The fact that it is honestly arrived at may not alter the fact that the conclusion is false. We are all creatures of limitation, and it behooves us to recognize this fact at every point. This does not mean that we are excused for our errors due to a lack of knowledge, experience, or patience. But it does mean that even when we have done our best thinking, our most honest probing of our own motives, plumbed the depths of our innermost cumulative experience of living, we may arrive at a point less than the right. If this is true, then carelessness and attitudes, slovenly thinking, half-hearted attempts at understanding, all these are simply without justification. Each person is under obligation to do, to the limit of their power, the very best thinking, the most honest feeling of which they are capable of, as they face even the simplest alternatives of life. The constant reminder of our limitations is but one of the ways in which God affirms in human life that we are God's children and God is our parent. In God's presence and God's presence alone, there is the calm assurance that even the limitations of our frame provide God with abundant levels of expressions of God's love toward us and God's fulfillment in us. So, I picked this one to share with you today because I do think that in our climate right now, I'm not sure about you, but I think we are facing the limitations of humanity, of our ability to fully grasp everything, right? Which can be a reminder that we need one another, right? That like what we receive and what maybe another sibling receives can connect and give us a fuller understanding of human life, right? And it is a reminder that even at our best, when we think we have all of the answers, sometimes we can be wrong. And I really appreciated this last part here that Howard Thurman says. The constant reminder of our limitations is but one of the ways in which God affirms in human life that we are God's children and God is our parent. In God's presence and in God's presence alone, there is the calm assurance that even the limitations of our frame provide God with abundant levels of expression of God's love toward us and God's fulfillment in us. I hope that you find that reassuring. That even in our limitations, God shows up in those expressions and shares a part of God's love with us and among us and around us. So, despite all of the things that we could get wrong, we can still trust that God will show us something beautiful and right, even in our own limitations. I think that's kind of beautiful. And I think that's a beautiful reminder right now as we're trying to figure out how do we be together? And knowing all of the things that are wrong in our world, all of the mistakes that we have possibly made, even earlier this morning, right? Where is God's presence showing us that even in those limitations, that God is dwelling with us, God is showing us something different. That God's expression of love towards us and fulfillment in us does not stop because of those limitations, right? That we are still seeing expressions of that love. So I hope you find that as an encouragement. We're going to end with a prayer by Howard Thurman. But in the meantime, I want to share the song Be Still My Soul. It's done in a cappella. This was a song written in Finland, and we will hear three sisters sing a cappella, and then we will go straight into the prayer.
Be still, my soul, the Lord is on thy side. Bear patiently the cross of grief or pain.
A prayer of meditation by Howard Thurman called I Let Go of My Accumulations. My ego is like a fortress. I have built its walls stone by stone to hold out the invasion of the love of God. But I have stayed here long enough. There is light over the barriers. Oh my God, the darkness of my house forgive and overtake my soul. I relax the barriers. I abandon all that I think I am, all that I hope to be, all that I believe I possess. I let go of the past. I withdraw my grasping hand from the future, and in great silence of this moment, I alertedly rest my soul. As the seagull lays in the wind current, so I lay myself into the Spirit of God. My dearest human relationships, my most precious dreams, I surrender to God's care. All that I have called my own, I give back. All my favorite things which I would withhold in my storehouse. From God's fearful tyranny, I let go. I give myself unto thee, O my God. Amen. Hopefully, you have found some things to ponder on in what Howard Thurman wrote, as well as in this prayer that I read and in the song. Uh, Perhaps some of our work to be done in this time of uprising um, and the wave of concern for justice is to be still and to listen and perhaps even examine the things that we ourselves have held on to for very long and let go of. And I believe it was Kathy who asked the question of why can't we love one another and be respectful of others and know that each person is different? And I think in this prayer, Howard Thurman starts off with acknowledging his own ego and how it builds this barrier to receiving God's love and giving it, right? And I think that may be part of it. There's also, real evil in the world. And recognizing where that comes from and recognizing that it exists is also part of it. So I hope this time together has filled you with something new to ponder and think about. And for this Wednesday, this mid part of your week, I hope you are staying cool and finding ways to walk around and get outside and to take in the beautiful world that is around you, in spite of all the other things that show us something different. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace. Bye, y'all.